right. It is what, Friday the 21st?
It is the 21st.
It's the solstice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
And it's also like an extra special moon event.
Is it really?
That only happens once every like 60 years.
I'm not Rick Weinberg. And you're not Mark
I just
Carter.
happened to hear that on NPR this morning, and
That's
I thought
awesome.
I'd share it with all of you.
Yeah, no. So I'm not Rick. You're not Mark.
Nope.
You can start us off.
Welcome to Azure Flash News. I'm Amanda Rosemark.
I'm Doug Splitter. I'm one of the architects in the center. I host Office Flash Friday. Rick and Mark do not care about their customers as
much as we do.
As much as we do.
Because we're here.
We're here.
Hanging out with you all, making sure you get the Azure news.
Along with like 2 Microsoft people in the region, apparently. Everybody else is working remotely, right? So no, there's a lot of people. They are online for sure, but maybe not hanging in the office. This is a very optimal vacation-taking week. So let's hit the news and get people on their way. What do we got this week?
Yeah, absolutely. We have some SQL news. We have some PowerShell news that Doug is super excited about.
I like PowerShell and automation stuff or whatever.
I appreciate automation as well. Yeah. So a lot of different SQL stuff. And actually, to start us off, we should talk about the announcement that generally available now is virtual network service endpoints for Azure Service Bus and Azure Event Hubs.
Okay, so let's talk a little about this one from maybe pull it up while what we're basically saying is PaaS endpoints, the platform as a service endpoints in Azure. One of the criticisms that people have had from not necessarily from a real security standpoint, but from a compliance standpoint is that their only exposure for many of them for a long time was public endpoints.
Right. So then people felt they had to shy away from PaaS.
Yeah.
Even though it had all these other great
benefits. Which is one of our huge advantages because of the operational agility, elasticity, cost benefits. It's all, PaaS is where a huge percent of the savings are in cloud. If you're just going to shift, you can get operational efficiencies, but real efficiencies come from PaaS. But we only had, for lack of a better term, the 64.128 that you couldn't put something on your 10 network, your internal Azure network. You had to consume it through these public endpoints, even if they were secure, even if they couldn't be got to from anyone but you. The word public was in there.
Right, and it kind of scared a lot of people, and so they shied away from PaaS. And so to counteract that, we are now working really diligently and constantly coming out with these VNet integrations. So you can take these PaaS services and actually put them into your virtual network.
Therefore, they do not have a public presentation.
Right.
So if anyone's going to expose those things, it will be you and your rules, not any configuration on our side, right? And potentially they have zero public endpoint exposure, so you can have a completely isolated environment doing computational workloads that...
Yep, you can keep it completely off of the public internet.
Yeah, all right. And what service, we talked about this, what other services are already in this class? So we added these two.
Yeah, so we added Event Hubs.
So let's go full screen on this for a minute, because I thought this was a pretty decent starter list.
Yeah, so we added Event Hubs and Service Bus right now. Then these are the other ones that are generally available now, and it's a lot of storage. So it's a lot of our SQL offerings, Cosmos DB, Key Vault, which is great because that interacts with so many things. And then in preview is the Azure Data Lake Gen 1.
Okay, so those are it's a lot of building components. Most of the high-end security ones you'd care about. Key Vault, I think it was the first one, wasn't it? I mean, that was one people were like,
I think it was one of the first ones because it was such a high priority.
Yeah, and so we got, but that's a lot of building components, right?
I mean, I think most people are, when they look at the exposure, they're thinking about their data.
Correct.
And so they're looking at, what about my SQL? What about my storage?
Yep.
And those are in here,
and
so you can
data
add
warehouse
those.
and data lake, and ADL 1's coming. I assume then Gen 2 will be.
Gen 2 is actually based on blob storage, so it will already.
So it'll already be covered. That should be listed then. We should find out.
Maybe there's some detailed thing, but I'm sure it'll be coming pretty quickly.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so nothing but good news for those who are wanting to use PaaS but had a regulatory or just a security posture, philosophical.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were saying that it's really great for people who had to check that box on those regulatory compliance sheets, but also there's people who just maybe, someone in their security department or just someone in the management chain says, hey, we can't be on the public internet.
Yep.
Now you don't have that concern.
Wonderful. Okay, so what's up next?
Next up is a while back we have put in public preview some new Azure backup stuff for SQL Server on an Azure VM. And we actually added now the ability to do auto updates to it. So if you add a database to your SQL VM, we will now auto-detect that, and we will auto-protect it with Azure Backup.
Okay, so I got a VM, I've got Azure, I got SQL on it. We could back it up, but if I added databases prior to this, I had to go back in and configure Azure Backup to go safeguard those additional databases.
Yeah,
now if I got a developer blowing out a bunch of stuff on top of it, they're going to be kept automatically safe.
Yep. Yeah, we will automatically recognize it, and we'll go ahead and run Azure Backup to make sure that it is updated.
All right, I'm happy with that.
It's not.
It's kind of like one of those. Sure, that's great, thank you.
There's not a lot of meat to talk about, but
is it turned on automatically, or do you have to activate it?
I believe you have to. You have to have your Azure Backup configured, but I believe it will be part of that.
All right, so cool. So check it out. Make sure you
have to enable it.
You make sure, I thought so.
You have to enable it.
So here's your to-do. If you are using this feature, go enable that so that if your developers start making 3 or 4 new databases,
it's automatically updated.
We want those things back up.
Yeah. Because
HA is not backup.
Yeah. So any DBAs can breathe a sigh of relief before the holidays here, because your stuff will be automatically backed up for you.
All right.
So here's the one that you're most excited about.
Well, so I'm a PowerShell hound, right? And so I do like the PowerShell core, and the 1.0 module for the AZ PowerShell commandlet says released.
Yes.
Nothing more than that. If you're using this, you have a choice between the two, right?
Yes.
So you gotta pick. I just think that the way we're heading with the graph interfaces and all the rest of the stuff, that there's a lot more. I like the security boundaries that the way they've architected. I think the architecture is better. We've learned.
Yes, absolutely. It was time for a change.
It was time for to take all the greatness of the past, add some security and some footprint and some better integrations into the more modern API endpoints and the rest of the stuff. We're not in any way precluding the past stuff. And the community is insane around PowerShell, and so we just want to have a nice strategy go forward around the core.
Yeah.
And so I love this. We'll probably start. Rick and I are going to meet up sometime in January and talk about some practical examples of some of these things. So we'll probably give a little examples to why we think this is cool.
Oh, that would be great.
So I'll take that one on with Rick, and we'll go ahead and see if we can do maybe just an offline post or something out on the Azure Flash News site in order to show you a couple of things. But like I said, anytime it is the 1.0, so you're going to see the direction we're heading with this particular stuff. So I like it.
And it's available in Cloud Shell, which is really cool. I love using Cloud Shell, so you don't actually have to worry about making sure PowerShell's on your machine and that this is downloaded. You can just run it right in Cloud Shell. So that's really great.
And then PowerShell 6.3 or higher is the other half of the equation. So.
And Azure RM is not going away, but the new updates will all take place in AZ, right?
Yeah, because of its integration to graph frameworks.
Right.
And that's where we're putting the majority of our interfaces. And I've always said to people, like over on the SaaS side where I play more, if you want to know where we're going directionally with the software as a service platform, go look at the preview hive of the graph development interfaces. It almost can tell you what are the new interfaces being exposed and give you a little insider peek as to where, because those are the platforms that we will build on top of, that you will build on top of. So when you see where we're headed with a whole new generation of stuff, and we're kind of leaning towards the graph interfaces and the rest of the stuff. Now, again, what that means is, from a philosophical standpoint, we're leveling the playing field between real development interfaces to admin tasks and scripting engines.
Yeah.
So there won't be this, over time, the disparity gap between the two will close. I won't say there'll never be a gap, because you have to start somewhere and do something.
Sure.
But philosophically, what I love about this is that we're saying no matter which, if you're going to build an interface that calls something, or you're going to do scripting and automation, you should have the same capabilities.
Yeah.
And so the underpinnings of this are maybe what I'm more excited about than the fact that this module shipped, but the direction is the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you are looking to switch, follow the link in the announcements here, because they have some information here on migrating. You obviously cannot use both in the same script, so make sure you either stay or migrate.
Right.
Just something to call out there. And I know, so this release now, and then they're going to do another update shipment on, I believe it's January 15th, and then it'll update every 2 weeks after that. So they're really going to try and stay on top of this.
Yeah, that's the fast iteration cycle we're talking about from these things. So anyway, lots of stuff coming. And like I said, I think this will enable a whole new set of capabilities. But if you're like, hey, what? Then we'll sit down, Rick and I, we'll figure something out.
Yeah. So more information coming, but go check it out. It's good updates here. So now we're actually going back to some SQL stuff, because there's now where we have transparent data encryption, where you can bring your own key. So you can make use of Azure Key Vault and bring your own key. So especially for people who have those regulatory compliance requirements.
Yeah, we're back again. We've come full circle on the regulatory requirement side, right? So.
Yep. So the people who need to prove that they manage their own key.
Yep.
They can now do that.
Now remember, this is not hold your key, it's bring your key.
Yes.
Right? Because I mean, the latency around you holding the key would never survive. That's the reason you're using it. But you can bring the key, bring your key into the vault, which does say, I am the custodian of my key material. I am the issuer of my key material and the holder of the ability to revoke that key.
Yep. And you can update it on whatever cycle you need to.
Now,
all that good stuff.
And that puts the obligation on you to update it.
Yes.
Because we will honor the durability of that key. This is the one thing I always say to people. It's like, people are like, oh, hooray, I can bring my own key. I'm like, and hooray, you now must manage that key to its appropriate life cycle. Because if you let the key expire, what happens?
You have no access.
Well, until
You're in trouble.
until you renew it.
Right.
And so you have to take on good key management practices.
Right.
That's something the majority of customers in Office 365 who have these high-end attestations,
yeah.
they've never had to deal with that before, right? They're relying on all of us to do key management, and then we have all these, back-end attestations of this compliancy and that compliancy. And in order to do that, we have to have great key management. It's all described up in the trust center and everything. But you've never had to think about that since you moved your data in. If you choose to bring your data in, and because of a regulatory requirement, you just got to remember now, we got to be part of your key management strategy.
Yep.
Right. And I'd like to tell you that I've never heard of anyone having a problem.
Yeah.
But I have had people who forgot that they had like a 2-year key.
Yep.
And then it expired, and they had to go in and go through a renewal process and get a hold of the issuer and.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's my only thing is, if you're going to do it, make sure whatever your service desk is,
make sure you're prepared to manage and you have that.
That you are prepared, because if you have a 2-year key duration, that's a long time, and humans can change. So make sure you've truly operationalized. That would go for any distributed cloud fabric. Make sure you've truly operationalized your key management before you go that route.
Yep.
End of lecture. So if you're like, oh, I'm super excited, I want to do that, make sure you need to.
Yep.
And make sure that you're organizationally ready, not just a human being, but.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you've checked those boxes, this is in public preview for you, and you can go out and play with it.
And it's transparent, the TDE stuff, so it's awesome.
Yes.
So you can hit your compliancy without having to do all the table and row level goo. It's
gonna be good stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I don't. I'm not a database person, but I am a cryptography person, right? so I love this kind of stuff, right? Every time someone says transparent encryption gets me compliancy, I'm like, that's great.
Yeah. So. Anytime we can make things a little easier is awesome. So more SQL goodness here is we have now given you the ability to transform your data live. So if you had things set up as a row level format, as a row store, and you want to switch that to be a column store so that you can compress your data and do all that stuff, you before had to actually block all your transactions while you were doing this. So you had downtime while you were doing the transformation.
So I picked the wrong, or I want to change, architecture.
Yeah, right? So you maybe didn't choose wrong. You maybe started out and it was working, the right choice.
But now it's growing.
But now your database was growing, you're utilizing it in a different way, and it's time to transform it. And so you would have to block all your transactions and basically have a downtime while you did this transformation. And now you no longer have to do that. We have online transition to the column store. So we will actually, with this online flag, we'll keep things going and we'll find homes for your transactions while it's being transformed, which is impressive.
It is really impressive. You think about the math behind that and the I/O operations and stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's like, well, we're just gonna, kind of move everything in we're gonna flip your house on its side.
Yep.
And put everything on it, and
but nothing will get out of place.
And we're not gonna wake anybody up or interrupt the stuff cooking on the stove. Like,
exactly.
That's kind of amazing. But I'm like, oh, I nodded at. You think about, like, you process the the logic behind doing that.
Yeah, it sounds so simple.
Yeah, look,
but it's not.
These little arrows will no longer be stopped. But there's a little more to it than that. Awesome.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and when you create your column store, just use this with online on, and it'll keep your database online and it won't stop any transactions. So
enough said.
Give it a try if you're planning to transform your data to column store. This is the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so
that's the news.
I think that was the news, and I'm not surprised.
It's been a slow news week as everybody slowly
everybody
disappears.
glides into the new year, right?
Yep.
It's not a U.S. phenomenon; it's a global phenomenon as we head into the new year, right?
Nothing wrong with that.
Everybody's taking off for things. Well,
that's all right.
That is it for Azure Flash News. Office Flash Friday coming up, Dynamics Fortnite Friday coming up, so 2 more shows. Probably not for this audience, but for other people.
That's all right, I'm sure.
Thanks to Emily McMiller for producing us.
Absolutely.
And back. We appreciate all of her efforts on top of it. You can follow any of us. For me, it's at dsplinter on Twitter. Otherwise, it's
at Azure Flash News, I
correct,
believe.
Yeah. So hit the Azure Flash News website. Links over there.
And
podcasts,
iTunes.
live view,
They are
website,
now up
iTunes,
on YouTube. So if YouTube is your platform that brings you joy, you can find us there.
Lots more places to watch Azure Flash News. We appreciate you tuning in. I guess I'll do the Rick Weinberg thing. Until next time, keep your hands on the keyboard and the head in the cloud. And we wish you a safe and a happy new year. And I'm sure Rick and Mark will be back after the new year to bring lots of Azure goodness. Thanks for letting me join you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye.